Hey everyone, this video is mostly going to be audio only with very few pictures, so you can just put this on in the background if you like. I'm mostly making this video to correct some mistakes in my previous video that's talking about Graveyard Kitaro, and my discussion on Kitaro in general, the character, I mean. First off, this version of Kitaro, Graveyard Kitaro, is a completely separate continuity. It's not a prequel. Therefore, it kind of felt like I was being unfair towards it, when clearly it wasn't supposed to be a prequel. So, I apologize for that. And after some discussion with fans of Graveyard Kitaro to see what they felt, I gained a bit of new perspective. Most of these characters in Graveyard Kitaro are morally gray. A morally gray character is defined as a complex character who is neither purely good nor evil, and whose actions aren't always clear-cut. Using this definition, do I think that Kitaro in Graveyard Kitaro is morally gray? Well, no. I know some people may argue with that, but his actions in the series always kind of leaned more towards the bad side, rather than the neutral side. There is an argument that he did all of those deeds for the survival of him and his father. The only character we see him being nice to is Neko Musume. He did get her famous after all, but that's kind of the only act he does that kind of pushes him towards morally gray. If anything, I say that he's morally dark gray. Then we have characters like Mizuki, who can be classified as morally gray, as he did adopt Kitaro, yet he didn't really seem to take care of him all that well, and might be even ashamed of him. Kind of like a more toned down Buck Cluck from Chicken Little. I did started to wonder though, then what made me like other versions of Kitaro so much? Kitaro in the manga was sort of a blank slate. Thus it gave the other anime adaptations of Kitaro more wiggle room to mess around with his personality a bit. Like the more aggressive 80s version, or the more kind-hearted, bashful 2007's version. Though the version that's always talked about is the 90s version. Some people like it when Kitaro is very edgy, and some like him when he's a bit more on the good side. And if you couldn't tell, I like it when Kitaro is mostly good. Mostly because it gives him more range of expression and emotion, with the middle ground of the two being the 80s version. I then started to wonder what made the 90s series so beloved, and then it kinda clicked for me. The 90s version of Kitaro is the perfect blend of both worlds. While this series can get dark at times, it also knows how to bring out heartfelt moments. And no, not just for the sake of dark comedy, like in Graveyard Kitaro. It felt like the perfect blend between dark and serious topics, but also times in which it can get a bit silly, and also a bit filled with heart. But back on track about the morally gray part, this may just be a personal thing. I don't personally think that a show filled with morally gray characters is all that good. Sure, a morally gray character executed well can be really good, but having multiple characters or almost all of the cast be morally gray kinda drains all of my investment in them. Yes, Kitaro in Graveyard Kitaro was ostracized for his looks. He even had a shitty adoptive dad. You never really felt that Kitaro was hurt by any of it, or even if he was hurt by any of it at all. I have also heard from another review on Graveyard Kitaro that you shouldn't implant human emotions on Kitaro or any of the yokai because, well, they're not human. But that argument kinda crumbles because Kitaro falls in love with Neko, to the point where he's willing to help her out. He does mope for a while after her death, so it kind of feels like this series isn't really committing it to because they're yokai they can't feel human emotions bit. I still don't personally like Graveyard Kitaro, but I at least understand where its fans are coming from. even if I personally don't agree. I think it is okay to like an edgy take on a series, and it's okay if you don't like this edgy take and prefer more of the heroic stuff that Kitaro does. I am open for more Kitaro-based edgy stuff. Maybe one day I can cover that manga where Kitaro is a high schooler. I just personally couldn't get into Graveyard Kitaro due to the fact everyone was morally gray, and not particularly in an interesting way. I hope that this video could clear up some things about how I feel about this series, now that I'm not viewing it as a prequel, but instead its own continuity. I guess one thing I do have to point out is that the dark comedy didn't really make me laugh. And that's a subjective thing. Not every single type of comedy is funny to everybody. I think I am going to take a break on these Gigage no Kitaro videos. I do have other topics I do want to talk about. But anyways, Merry Christmas everybody. And I wish you all a Happy New Year. Though more than likely this video would come out on Christmas Eve. I don't want this video to dampen the Christmas mood for you all.